right?
Yeah.
And so what do you love about being a Black woman?
You know what? It is my best feature. I love that we are just so unique,
Oh,
and we are trendsetters, and we are at the core of everything.
A big tune.
welcome to another episode of UnVeil. My name is Nicole Bozil, and on this platform, I interview women of color on discovering the beauty that lives and lies within them. We also take a closer look through their eyes on their interpretation of what they define as beautiful. One of my key sayings recently is, I love being a Black woman. Receiving a compliment, I can accept it with gratitude. But when I get praise from a woman who shares the same melanin as me, it is pure gold. My guest today is a reflection of such exchange in how we met in complementing each other's style. Her sense of awareness in fashion and keen eye for high quality vintage pieces is chef's kiss. Gray Amaru is the CEO of the Finery Finesse, selling selective fashion apparel at which these pieces can be incorporated in today's current trends. Gray is undoubtedly growing her business in such a way we should all take heed in. When she is consistently showing up for her business and her customers, she's also showing up for herself. So without further ado, Gray Amaru. Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you. Thank you. And thank you for those kind words. I'm like, I received that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Me and Gray have known each other for almost, I think, like 8 years now.
Yes.
And one thing that has stayed consistent is this woman's fashion. Okay. But I want to tap into, because everyone knows you with the exception of myself. But why don't we tap into, like, growing up, who were your beauty inspirations or even fashion, inspos, and how has that evolved into who you are presently?
Growing up, I think it was more so I know, like, when people get this answer, it's always like, the people on TV, but to me, it was more so the people around me. Honestly, I would have to really credit my birth mother. I feel like she was so fly to me, and she honestly was bigger. And so I would like marvel at, she wasn't always bigger, but for a lot of my childhood she was, but I would marvel at how fly she was to be heavier. And I was like, you could dress, like you can dress.
Yes.
And so I think that as well. When I was in high school, I had a friend named Melissa, and she would like put stuff together in a way that I was like, yo, you put that color with this color with that camo. So I would like really credit the people that were really around me that I could see and touch more so than the people on TV. But they inspired me as well. But the people around me I thought were pretty fly.
Right. Let's talk about the current state when we're talking about fashion, right? So, and as far as like your influence. So, over the years, right, I have, most recently, this past couple of years, I've watched the runway shows for the last couple of years. And honestly, like, I have not felt like emotional. Like, there have been times where I have felt emotional about like a show, or like I have seen people literally cry. The last show that I seen, like, people actually literally crying, like leaving a show, was Alexander McQueen spring of 2008 fashion show. Like literally
Long time ago.
like years ago. I mean, literally crying.
That's 15 years ago.
Yes.
My son is 14. He's born in 2009. It is. And I know, like, I try to convey that to people, like, but it's only through people like you that understand, like, the emotionalness of fashion, that I love it as an art form. How, like, a painter will look at the strokes of something, or how sometimes I'll listen to music and I'm like, what made them put that key there and that song there, or like the tapestry of something. I can marvel at like the art of it.
Right.
Like, and it can make me have a emotional reaction of how absolutely beautiful this is, and how someone had this envision in their mind and they were able to take it out of their mind, put it out into reality, and like in a form that I can touch and see in the colors, and it will move me in a way.
Yes. Yes.
But if you don't have that connection with fashion, then you think I'm crazy. Like, it's just a blouse.
But you know what I'm feeling? Is because I feel that right now. Hi, friend. I'm breaking up this conversation because our connection is vital to me. I'm enjoying this dialogue that I'm having with my guests, but I want to know, what are you experiencing listening to us? How are you feeling? What's resonating with you at this moment? Look, I can't see you, of course. What we can do together is connect in the comment section down below and cultivate a relationship there. And when you're ready, no pressure, subscribe to this channel. When I see a thumbs up, that tells me you like what you hear, and in turn, those likes and subscriptions will grow this channel. Thank you so much for your time. Hope to talk to you down below, and thanks again. Now let's get back to the interview. It is getting very good. Talk to you soon. We are so inundated with visuals.
Mm-hmm.
To be wowed, it has to be explosive to be memorable. Mm-hmm. Right? And so, and I did, and the same, I agree with you, like it diminishes the art form because we're looking for like the catch or like the hook. And so, you know, what do you, I know you've already expanded on it, but what are your thoughts about the current state of fashion?
I think that it can be very underwhelming. And I think that because people's mindset are like very fast paced, people are trying to give people what they want instead of doing what moves them. And I think it will give you an emotional attachment when you really know that this artist, this designer did what moved them, and not are trying to just give people what they think they want. Like, give them what you want.
Yes, yes.
And you know, let them eat from that. Mm-hmm. And so that is why I'm so pulled back to vintage, because that was a time and a space where that wasn't the case. Mm-hmm. You know, where things were handmade, where the textures, and this came from this place, and they don't do this like this anymore. You know what I mean? They don't make denim like this anymore. That is why, you know what I mean? Like, I feel that is the real, either vintage or emerging designer, because they still have the zest and the zeal. Yes. You know, old houses, sometimes they want this, let me give them this. Let me make this cheaper. Back when Chanel was made in Italy, you know what I mean? Now it's made in China, because
you're giving me goosebumps.
Yeah, if the tag was made in Italy, I can say made in Italy. Yeah. I want it back when the whole bag was made in Italy, when the strap really had gold in it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yes. So that is why vintage is, it has a piece of my heart. Yeah. I want that.
But great. So this is so great because, you know, with you selling your pieces, and, you know, there's some that are just like one of one that you have, right? Yes. I am a huge, growing up, I was a huge, or, you know, I still am, but I was a huge thrift store shopper, vintage store. Like, it was more of like the influence, but then also that I knew that the pieces that I was collecting growing up in the early 2000s, in the early 2000s, they were from decades of the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, right? So I know, like, oh, I'm getting a real garment. Yes, I'm getting a piece. I'm getting a garment that actually the structure of it is solid, right? Yes. So I find it so hilarious when I go into thrift stores now, and like, I guess like they're starting to understand like designer, and I'm like, wait, how do they know to price this? Because I used to get like, I remember I got like a Dior sweater for like $10, and I felt like it was such a prize, because it was like, oh my God, like I got this for $10 and they don't even understand and know, right? And now there's this like explosion of just like now people, specifically I've noticed with like purses, that vintage is such a hot commodity
Oh my God.
of how the structure of like the piece of like how it's created now. Are you finding when you're scouting for vintage garments, it's more strenuous now, that maybe it's more high in demand?
It is. And then there's like, I said this the other day jokingly that whoever put these young kids, 14-year-old kids up on vintage will not make it to the gates of heaven. They will not, because it is, you know, you really have to go out. I have to drive. And then, you know, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
But I have to look for it, you know. But also, speaking of like great finds, I found a Vintiments dress that was $1,000 Vintiments dress for $6, you know, before. And I remember, because I'm so big on quality, it was just a plain white dress, but I felt it and I said, "What is this?"
Yeah.
Like, if it didn't even have the tag, I would have known that this is something. Like the thread count. But yeah, I found that it's just been a little bit tougher. And then you're competing with 14-year-olds now too. So it is,
but if you are competing with them, your eye is different versus them, right?
It is for sure. It is. And so, yeah, it's just getting it. And sometimes I have to like drive or scout the internet. But I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm here for influence. I'm here for direction. And so when I see that you're saying that the 14-year-olds are now, they're up on these vintage pieces and they understand it, you know, my influence came from fashion magazines. Style.com was heavy for me. Heavy. Like, I was on there like, what are they doing backstage? Like, what is the next thing? Watching music videos, like those were my outlets, and how I formed my own identity, right? I didn't literally look at, I don't know, Lil' Kim from like head to toe. I'm like, I'm wearing every single piece she's wearing.
Yes.
No. I would say to myself, okay, I like the denim jeans. How can I reinterpret this for my shape, for my style, right? Yes. And that is how you create your own identity, right? Because then I then know like, okay, this works for me, because I know, listen, I don't know if you ever catch me in a tube top, you know what I mean? But you may catch me with an oversized shirt. You get what I mean? Like, that's how I would style it. So what I see is that, you know, as I'm scrolling on Instagram, because I don't have TikTok, I'm sorry, guys. I know everyone else has TikTok. I'm probably the only person on the earth that does not have TikTok. But when I am scrolling, I start to see a repetition. It starts to look repetitive as far as like looks. So I just want to know that. I know. So I just want to know, like, do you feel like, and listen, there's sometimes when I am scrolling, I'm like, oh, that looks kind of fly. You know what? I would do it, for me, I would do it this way, you know? Yeah. But do you feel like social media can impede or amplify one's view of how they identify their style?
I think in today, I feel like it impedes, right? But for the most part, because it really, really is extremely redundant when you're looking on social media. And I think that, I was just thinking about that everyone thinks right now to be hot, you need to be the same, right? So, and it's not down to the style of everything. So gone are the days to see, like, I like this, I like that, let me remix it. Or sometimes you didn't even know apparel. Like, I could not know that Loewe shoe was out. So yeah, I see it, and now I'm like, okay, great. But I feel that social media can impede today because, again, like you were saying earlier, we're just inundated with all these visuals, and we can see that it's working for people. And it's not just younger people, because I will see some of my peers that are in their late 30s, and I'm like, I know that those, you know, Loewe or lawn shoes, tennis shoes with the big butt, like skater ones, that doesn't even fit your aesthetic. And certain things I will try out, you know, bits and pieces, but with certain people, I'm like, you just got them just to have them, you know, just because so you could check the box that I have this thing. And I really wish that being creative and being yourself and finding out who you are and being an individual to its core was okay.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
You know, so there's certain things that now I remix to fit my personality, but I want to be me. I've even had a guy tell me, you know, I'm used to Black women or the women I'm around changing their hair all the time. I don't. That's me. That's me. Change my style, but I do what is best for me. Or even when I was growing up, I remember like having a bunch of rings was considered ghetto. I thought that as well, like the mindset of the ghetto now. And now ghetto is runway. Like now it is.
Man.
So now I remix things as a, you know, an ode to the way I used to think that I'm going to wear a bunch of rings, but I'm going to wear the gems that are for me, you know?
Identify you.
So
it always feels good when if I were to walk into a store and I were to think of any of my friends or I think of you, I'm like, oh, this would look good on Gray. That's when you know, like, okay, you have literally connected a style or a look to this person because you know, like this, you've seen something that has been consistent within to say, I don't think that's her. You know what I mean? So like when you're saying like, listen, I know how to identify myself. It's just, it's refreshing because like if we were in a space where someone is asking you, okay, what is your look? Or like, how would you define it? And you start to tell me someone else, then I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, well, how do you identify yourself? So
that's a great question.
Yeah, so I really wanted to tap into that because I never want to say that social media is not influential. It is, but it's what you take from it or take away from it to say, okay, this is how I want to do it. Like I cook, even though I'm vegan, so I cook. But I will literally take pieces to say, I think I'm gonna add the adobo in there just because I'm Caribbean. So I am gonna add that in there because that's what I want. You know,
and it's incorporating yourself in everything, in your cooking, in everything. That is beautiful. I say that as well. Like I incorporate quality in myself and everything, down to how I choose my food, down to where I shop at my food, down to my dog, like down to like I wanted a beautiful dog that's smart and that's quality. It's otherwise no shade to the Frenchies, but no shade to like otherwise sometimes a man-made dog that's just popular, like down to every single thing. This is it, you know, quality over everything. So if I have to have a couple of like I can't have a whole pantry of food because I'm going to Erewhon or Whole Foods. So you know what I mean? I'm getting quality things, you know? I can't have a bunch because it's quality over quantity.
It's
to everything.
It's to everything. It goes across every platform, across every board. And speaking of platforms and everything, and also you talking about your dog, which we see on Instagram Live that you do. So Gray, she does these lives every Thursday at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock Eastern time, but 5 o'clock specific, 5 o'clock specific time.
Yes.
And so, you know, I find it so amazing because when I started my channel, when I started, you know, UnVeil on YouTube, one of the most interesting components for me was the editing aspect of it, right? Because I knew like once I shut this computer down, I'm like, all right, I gotta go back and look at myself. To actually watch myself, to watch myself.
I'm thinking right now, like, how do I look? Yeah, I get it.
Yes. So I have to watch myself. I have to make tweaks as I'm, you know, going along with it. I have to remember to press record when I'm doing these videos because, we'll talk about that another time. But I had actually my very first interview where I forgot to press record. Like, these are the things that I had to remember. And even how my posture is, and like all these things that I have to like keep in mind when I am recording, right? However, when you go live, you're live, right?
Yes.
So you don't get the option of saying, oops, let me take that away, or let me do this. You're doing this every week. And as you're doing it every week, you learn more and more about yourself.
Yes.
And it's also a tool, which is absolutely amazing, that I find now in today's market as a way to market yourself and market your business. Because at one point, people would have to go into a brick and mortar. It was just easier that way. Or you're just selling it online. You don't have to really communicate with your clients. But
Yes.
I love when I'm on your lives and I see the engagement. Like it has grown to this point where it's like at one point it's like, okay guys, here are the pieces, here this. And Gray, I have seen a change in how you communicate with us as your customers. I've seen a change in how, even if you're talking, the engagement is going back and forth. Like it's like, oh yeah, she's selling these pieces to us, but we can talk too. We can have discussions in this conversation.
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, since incorporating Instagram Live as a vehicle for your business, what are you learning about yourself and your customers?
That's a great question. What I'm learning that I can do it. I'm learning that I can do it. I wish I would have started sooner. I think that people always say that, you know. And a lot of people will save their lives for a 24-hour like shop the replay. I don't, because of that, because I'm still learning as I go, and I will be cringy at myself, like I should have said that, I should have did this. And like you were saying, like the record, so I will still screen record so I can know what people are saying, because if I look back at it, I can't read the comments. So I have to remember that to screen record. If this person said I got this at this price, I can have, look back. So I'm learning as I go as well. Like I'm learning, sometimes I forget to screen record. Sometimes I have to be prepared. I have to engage. And I don't think that sometimes people don't agree with me, but I am a very introverted person. So I still get butterflies. My heart runs fast before lives to make sure that I'm saying things right. I'm nice to people. I'm conveying the product. And because I can talk to a group of people that might not share the love of these garments like I do.
Yeah.
And so I do feel that it has really, really done well with me doing the lives. Like I wish I would have done this way sooner. I would be much farther ahead. So I'm only like 12 lives in, and it's actually going, I have to give myself credit, because I'm already at the stage that I'm like, I should be doing so much better.
Yeah, no, timing is everything. And I think you had to have you had to have the timing. I always believe everything happens for a reason. I think that definitely you already were in your space, right? Taking photographs of your garments and taking photographs of your pieces. So to now be in this space, yes, could you have started earlier? Right. But now you're here, and now you have a new set of clients or a new set of viewers that are like, oh, who is she? Okay. You know what I mean? Like, of course, okay, you could have started during COVID when everyone was shut down, but it was but it was so many lives going on that you probably could have got lost in that space.
Do you know, Nicole, I had no idea that people were doing this, because like you were talking about, you're the last person with that doesn't have a TikTok. That's a part of me being introverted. There was a time where I didn't have social media at all for years. So, or if I did, I didn't log on. It wasn't even on my phone. I would delete the app from my phone. I had no idea, like under a rock, that people were doing live sales. I'm telling you, I had no idea until like May of this year.
But the technology has gotten better too. The technology has grown. Yeah.
I would have loved to. I would have really I think it would have been beneficial, but timing is everything. I'm trying to trust that.
Yes, you
I
have.
am truly, I don't quite trust that yet, because I will tell myself, if I could have done it then, man, like, why didn't I? But I had no idea.
Mhm.
I am far removed from that.
But you know what? There's nothing wrong with being, you have to be at your own pace in your own time.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with being, I can be extroverted in certain spaces. And then in these spaces, I can also be introverted because I'm listening and I'm watching, because I need,
Yes.
I'm an absorber. So I like to
Yes.
absorb my energy. I like to absorb what is happening, to be like, okay, is it time to go? Is it time
Yes.
to here? You know what I mean? Is it a vibe? Like, what is it?
Yes.
And I find that for us as Black women, like, we come in many shapes and forms. We come in many ways of how we communicate. And it's just within our own, I don't want to say education, but our own background of what we have been around, right? When I started this channel, because there are a couple of questions that I ask that are cemented in each conversation that I have with each woman. And the reason why it's called Unveil, because I'm revealing a part of the women that maybe not some of us don't know, or that we get an epiphany or realize something that, hey, we could tap into something that we can share within each other. But I asked it because there's another set of questions I'm going to ask, and they ask these questions because I always want us as Black women to recognize that we are the culture. We've always been the culture. And within that, there is beauty in each and every one of us.
Yes.
And to also allow you to process for yourself, what is your beauty? Who are you? As a reminder for yourself, right?
Yes.
And so
who are we now? Because that in real time, who are we in real time?
Who are we in real time? Exactly. Because what you've experienced and what you've gone through are just experiences and lessons, right?
Yeah.
To allow you to have a level of growth and a level of recognition of identifying what you don't love and what you do love, right?
Yeah.
And so what do you love about being a Black woman?
You know what? It is my best feature. I love that we are just so unique, and we are trendsetters, and we are at the core of everything. We are the foundation of everything. It is in our blood. It is in our cells to be creative, to be popping, to be at the forefront of every trend. And it's not even a trend sometimes for us. That is who we are. Like, I was like, oh, big butts are in style. No, they've always been in style.
It's natural. Yes.
You know what I mean? Our skin, how we compliment each other. Okay, hats.
Yeah.
Okay, skin.
Okay.
I love us. Like, that is my favorite part of being myself. Like, if God had to redo me and he would send me back anything, just send me back Black.
I say it.
Make sure any part, make sure, man, woman, tall, short, send me back Black for sure.
Yes.
So I just love the camaraderie of us. I just love how we love each other, how we show up for each other. Yeah, I love our style.
Yes. I know you tapped into saying that your feature is you, but is there any additional features that you love of yourself, and why?
Like aesthetically, or?
It can be aesthetically, it can be spiritually.
Aesthetically, I think if someone asked me what's my best feature aesthetically, I would always say my smile, my teeth. My sexiest feature, my most beautiful feature would be my smile. Internally, I would say I don't say anymore I love resilience because I don't want to be known for how many punches I can take, but I love how relentless I am, how like
Ooh.
I'm gonna go farther. I am going to self-preserve. I am going to take care of me. And so even when I'm really down on myself, like I have to look back at how well I have taken care of me under the circumstances.
Yes. Ah, great.
Yeah.
Listen, fire.
Yeah.
Relentless instead of resilience. Yeah, I'm about to
Yeah.
post that. I'm gonna post that. I'd rather be relentless over resilience. Ah,
Yeah. I don't need any more punches. Like I don't need to be like, yeah, you can really take a hard hit. What? Stop hitting me. Like so
right. And
but
I
I
think also
go.
it also it speaks to the fact of how you speak about yourself. You know how like I had this conversation with someone the other day where they're just like, I asked God to give me strength. So then he doesn't give you strength, he tests you in ways as to
Yeah.
how he can strengthen you.
Yeah.
So when you're saying like I don't want to be resilient, it's like, okay, when you're saying that, it now starts to now it's saying, okay, well, since you want to be resilient, let me give you things in order to feel like it. So when
Mm-hmm.
you're saying being relentless, perfect
Yeah.
word to identify, to say, no, this is how I want to feel. This is how this is what I want to go up
I want
against.
to get there. Yeah. I
Yes.
want to get there. I want to be able to know that I can do this. Like, or even the lives. Like, Nicole, at first I felt like stage fright, like paralyzed, like these
Yeah.
people could really see me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but let me push through. Let me do it because it's something greater on the other side.
Oh my God.
Um, so yeah, that's and I want to change how I talk, my inner talk about myself to make sure that I am speaking the words of what I actually want and also not what I hear. Because people be like, I got it from the mud. I know that I can, but I want to change that. I've already done that. So let me
Yeah.
have a soft damsel. I want to be a damsel now
Yes.
because I know the toughness that I can do. No
Right.
more,
Right.
and I want to not even say that anymore. Yeah, I want to be soft. I am soft.
You are soft. If absolutely.
Yes, I
Yes. Yes.
am soft. And so I want the world around me to reflect that.
Okay, last question.
Yeah.
What is a takeaway beauty secret you can share with the viewers? And again, it does not have to be physical.
Mhm.
Maybe spiritual, however way you view beauty. So what's a takeaway?
I would say to really, really beautify your life, and to really have things around you, things, people that you love. And that's down to like people will say sometimes, oh, I don't return things, or I'll forget to return things. And I'll say, there's something about being surrounded with things that I don't want. You know what I mean? And I will change my mindset. If I don't like this, I'm returning this thing. If this space no longer serves me, I'm not going to be in that space anymore. All work together. I want to be surrounded with everything in my home that I love. So if this no longer works, I want it out. If this job no longer works, I want it to be gone. If this partner doesn't work, I want to be surrounded down to from my finery to my flatware. I want to love it. You know what I mean? From my clothes to my spoon, to my dog, to the people around me. I want to be immersed in love and in beautiful things.
Oh my
And
God.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
I want it to surround me, to wrap me, to cocoon me. Every single thing I want to find beauty in it in all. I got my flatware from CB2 and I was like, I love these spoons. I love this. Everything in my space, in the spaces that I'm in, I want to be beautiful and loving.
Because it transmits energy, right?
It transmits energy. And then you think about everything different. If everything in my space is something that I want and I love, I want to be in spaces where I am wanted and loved. Does that make sense? I want it in the physical and like both, externally and internally, all the time. You know what I mean?
Wow, one of the best answers that I have heard. One of the best answers.
Oh, don't gas me. Because sometimes I'm like, girl, people say it's not that deep, but it
It
is.
is.
Whatever forks are the best forks. If you don't like this item, return it.
Yes.
Have things around you and be around things that you love and that you want. That you want. I want this. It's not just here taking up space. I'm not in settings just taking up space. I'm going to the tables that love is there. I love these things. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it, Gray. How can, now with all of this, how can people follow you to feel this and feel this energy? Give us all your handles. Give us, I've already mentioned that Gray does Instagram lives Thursdays, 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Eastern time. But what are your other handles where our viewers can follow you, can tap in, can buy clothing?
So I am the Finery Finesse right now. I think I'm going to do like a little rebrand on that. What that means is finery is just nice, quality, expensive clothing. I said Finery Finesse because I do think that you could really get that with vintage. So you kind of finesse expensiveness of it. Although you are getting quality and they're not going to be cheap, baby. This is not Shein. But I am the Finery Finesse on TikTok and on Instagram. And so, yes, join me as I grow because I am growing. I affirm that.
Okay, I love it. Thank you, Gray.